So I want to do a mini series as part of my SimCity 101 in which we talk about the specializations that are part of the base game. I have used these specializations as part of my gameplay, but we haven't actually done a tutorial on them. I have played and done tutorials on Mega Tower, the Academy, and Omega. So the future specializations that are part of Cities of Tomorrow, we've gone over, but we have not discussed up until this point mining, drilling, electronics, culture, and gambling. I've done a video on trading. Trading is, I consider, a secondary, a support specialization, and you'll notice in 3 of the 5 tutorials that we do, trading is going to be mentioned as part of mining, drilling, and electronics. But what I want to do is I want to go through the base game specializations and just offer some information about them. Let's talk about some tips. Let's go over some strategies in order to help you when you're playing with these specializations. So in this episode, let's talk about mining. Mining is a good specialization for a young city. It's relatively inexpensive to get started. Your first step into mining is going to be making the decision whether or not you're going to be doing coal or you're going to be doing ore. In order to get started with coal mining, in order to unlock a coal mine, you're going to need a city that's got working power, working water, coal underneath the city, and have 7 industrial buildings. The cost to get started with your first coal mine is 22,500 simoleons, and it's going to cost $100 an hour. That's for the base. That's not for the actual modules that do the mining of the coal. For an ore mine, same situation, working power, working water, ore underneath the city, 7 industrial buildings, 22,500 simoleons, and an ore mine is a little more expensive on an hourly basis, 125 simoleons, and once again, this does not include the modules. So if you're looking to get into one of the specializations that requires getting a resource out of the ground, it's important that you pick a city plot that has the resource that you're looking for. So in that early stages of picking a plot, you want to click on an area, and then that way you can get a good overview of what is available. So this particular city plot has plenty of coal, not as much, but a good amount of ore, lots of water, which is important because coal mines and ore mines have a high requirement for water. And of course, you've got wind if you're wanting to start out with wind power plant. Once you've picked your city plot, you can go to your data layer and you can click on coal, or if you're looking for ore, you'll see where those deposits are located. So once you've identified your city plot that you want to use, you've located the resource that's underground, you've unlocked the coal mine or the ore mine, then when it comes to placing it, once you click on it, it will show you that data layer, and then you can just, and you'll see where that, so you see there, see how it's showing 0 tons, and then as you get closer to the darkest part, there's your max level. Same for an ore well. If I put it here, you see I'm not showing much, but there. The base coal mine comes with just a standard processing building and one delivery truck. I typically add an additional delivery truck just because I like to put a sign down. You don't have to. Now, what I do, because of the fact that a resource that's coming from underground is finite, it will run out over time. So I usually do the standard coal shaft, and when you're placing it, it will give you an indication of just how much resource is available in that area. You can place a total of 4. Each coal shaft is 14,000 simoleons. That's all part of your budgeting process when you think about the cost of a coal mine and then the coal shaft. The augmented coal shaft, yes, it does extract more, but if you look at the cost of it, I don't see the need in spending that much money for something that's an early game specialization. You would have to wait a little bit longer in order to put down the augmented coal shaft. And at some point, all of this is going to become obsolete, irrelevant, when all of the coal has been exhausted from the area. Same scenario for the ore mine. I typically put down a delivery truck garage. There's one that comes with it. Put down a sign, and just like with coal, you've got 4 ore shafts. Each one is 16,000 simoleons. When you place them, it will give you an indication of just how much resource is available to you. Or, just like coal, that resource that's under the ground is not infinite. It will run out. So this is something where it's great for the early game, but you are going to want to start thinking about future plans if this is your primary method of making money for your city. You're going to need a trade depot, of course. So as you are extracting the coal from the ground, you're going to need a place to store it and to send it. It will be stored temporarily at the coal mine, but then you will need a place in order to send it. So the trade depot, and then you would put down as many coal storage lots that you need. Once you place a coal storage lot, you would manage your resource, and you can import or export. Uh, if you're sending it out of the city, you're exporting it, and each export is 6,000 simoleons. Same situation for the ore. So for the ore mine, you're going to need a depot. You're going to want a raw ore storage lot. When you place it, you're going to export it, and you will see that ore exports for a higher dollar amount. So if you're looking to get into ore or coal, just know that exporting ore is going to get you a slightly higher return on your export. You can mix and match if you've got a city plot like this where you've got ore in the ground as well as coal in the ground, and you would like to do a little bit of both. You can definitely do that. You could have 2 lots for coal, and then you could have 2 lots for ore. And you would just want to make sure that you've got both selected for exporting. your resource. So you're going to have to plan ahead and be prepared for. So in this situation, the coal, you can see it's quite dark to indicate the data layer. Over time, you will start to see around the shafts here, this color will start to look more like this, and then it will gradually fade to this color. As you are extracting, it will tell you what you are mining as far as the amount of resource. It will give you a time frame. It will say you've got 12 months of resources left, and 9 months, and 8 months. So it will give you plenty of warning, and that is a great time to start preparing for your next steps. So let's discuss that. We know that coal, ore are not going to last forever. So, one thing that you can do is if you are wanting to have this city remain as that type of a city, then you're going to get into the point where you're going to want to put down a headquarters. Once you meet a certain amount of export, you will get your headquarters. From your headquarters, then you can put down what division you want, whether that's the commerce division, the engineering division, or the smelting division. So if you are wanting coal or ore turning into metals and you're wanting this city to be a metal producing city, then the division that you want is the smelting division. Once you put down the smelting division, you've now unlocked a smelting factory. So, one strategy that you can employ is as you are starting to run out of the resource that's coming out of the ground. So, if you've got 2, 3, 4 coal mines, you may want to start deleting coal mines and in that same footprint, putting down a smelting factory. Same situation applies for an ore mine. When you put down a smelting factory, you've got some options as far as what type of product you want to create. Do you want to create metal or do you want to create alloy? This is where we can start to talk about some strategies. So let's look at a trade depot. Let's put down a metal storage lot. Let's put down an alloy storage lot. To export metal, 31,500 simoleons. To export alloy, 42,000 simoleons. What you want to keep in mind is you're going to get to a point where you will not have access to ore and coal from within your city. You're going to get to the point where you're going to need to bring in, if this is what you're wanting to do, you're going to want to bring in your resources. So, one strategy would be okay, if I'm trying to maximize my simoleons, alloy offers a higher profit. So, I would do alloy, and for alloy, you need ore and coal. When you think about how inexpensive these are, then you can get to the point where now you are importing coal and importing ore. You're bringing those products into one trade depot. They're being sent to a smelting factory, and then your smelting factory is delivering to your trade depot. For me, because of the greater return, I would be focusing on alloy, and I would be exporting alloy. So then your cycle is at some point you would not have any coal mines or ore mines, whichever one you're doing, or if you're doing both. And then in the same footprint of the coal mines or ore mines that you've gotten rid of, then you would have smelting factories. The smelting factories need ore and coal. You're importing them in for a modest dollar amount. You're exporting your refined product, and in this situation, it is alloy for a much greater export price. So for me, considering that the coal mine and the ore mine are relatively the same price to get started, the base is the same price. Your mining shafts are slightly different in cost, but when you take that into effect and you look at the fact that you get more export from ore as opposed to coal, my path would be to do a lot of ore mining, knowing that I'm going to be running out of ore, but exporting ore, supporting the city, building up a good amount of transactional dollar amount in the bank, starting the process of transitioning from extracting my resources from the ground to um, extracting enough, selling enough to the market where I can get and unlock a headquarters, smelting division, start the process of putting down smelting factories, creating alloy, slowly getting rid of my mines, and start bringing in the two things that I need, the two resources, coal and ore, smelting it into alloy, exporting it, and then that is a great way to kind of go from an early game, an early city specialization into more of a middle and late game specialization. Cities should make a very good profit. Um, but that's just one way to approach it. There are so many different ways to approach it. There's nothing that says that you can't, instead of going to smelting, make enough money where you're going to abandon the metal aspect and okay, I've made enough money now. I want to take this money and start to transform the city into an electronic city. So it's completely up to you, but I really wanted to just kind of go over how to recognize the resources in a city, how to extract the resources out of the ground, how to start that process of exporting it, and then also looking at ways of being strategic with knowing that your product, your resource that's in the ground, is going to run out. So instead of being surprised and caught off guard, you are in the process of planning for it all along and slowly transitioning from pulling it out of the ground to importing and turning it into a higher dollar amount export product. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, if there's something that I missed, please let me know and I'll address it. But that is kind of covering the mining aspect, the mining specialization in the base game. Have fun, enjoy the game, and we will see you next time.